Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a molecular biology concept that, honestly, is an absolute game changer. I want you to imagine for a second that inside every single one of your cells, there's a literal master control board. We're talking about a central hub that basically decides whether your cells are going to thrive, age gracefully, or, unfortunately, succumb to disease. So let's jump right into this explainer and unlock the secret to this biological master switch. Think about Alzheimer's, diabetes, heart disease, and even just the fundamental process of aging itself. At first glance, they seem like totally different issues, right? They affect entirely different parts of the body. But the latest research points to a single microscopic glitch connecting them all. It all comes down to a malfunction in exactly how our cells process and manage their energy. And that brings us to the absolute star of today's explainer, the AMPK SIRT1 PGC1alpha pathway. Okay, I know. That sounds like a total alphabet soup of scientific jargon. But simply put, this is your body's ultimate cellular power grid. It's the central regulatory hub that keeps your cell's energy perfectly balanced, something scientists call homeostasis. It manages metabolic stress, and it directly influences how we age. It's essentially the molecular machinery that decides the fate of your cells. To make sense of all this, we've got a clear roadmap. We are going to hit 5 main stops. Number 1, the cellular energy crisis. 2, meet the master switches. 3, when the network fails. 4, recharging the system. And finally, number 5, the future of healing.
Starting with section 1, the cellular energy crisis. What happens when the power grid fails?
Moving to section 2, meet the master switches. Let's step inside the molecular control board. So let's zoom way down into the microscopic world and look at the 3 brilliant molecules actually running this grid. Switch number 1 is AMPK. You can think of AMPK as your cell's ultra-sensitive fuel gauge. The second your cellular battery gets low, meaning the AMP to ATP ratio signals a drop in energy, AMPK detects it. It gets activated by a specific process, THR-172 phosphorylation, and it instantly kicks off a metabolic survival response. It shuts down all the non-essential processes to conserve power while simultaneously boosting energy generation. Next up, we have switch number 2, SIRT1. This one is your epigenetic protector. It acts kind of like a bodyguard for your DNA. It uses a molecule called NAD+ as fuel to clean up oxidative stress. By keeping our genetics incredibly stable and suppressing inflammation, SIRT1 actively fights off the damaging effects of cellular senescence, or aging. It is, for all intents and purposes, your cellular anti-aging guardian. And finally, we reach switch number 3, PGC1alpha. So, if AMPK is the sensor and SIRT1 is the protector, while PGC1alpha is the master builder. It's a transcriptional co-activator, which is a fancy way of saying it takes orders from those first 2 switches and goes to work. It physically drives the creation of fresh new mitochondria, which are your actual cellular power plants, all while helping your body burn fat. So how exactly do these 3 coordinate? Well, it's this incredibly elegant 3-tiered cascade mechanism. Step 1, AMP senses the low energy and activates. Step 2, that action boosts a molecule called NAMPT, which increases your NAD+ levels, which in turn wakes up SIRT1. And then step 3, the activated SIRT1 supercharges PGC1alpha's ability to build healthy new mitochondria. The really wild part? This creates a self-reinforcing feed-forward feedback loop to keep your energy metabolism in perfect balance. Following this biological relay race really reveals a beautiful synchronization. You get a drop in energy, right, that triggers AMPK, which sets off a chain reaction, boosting those NAD+ levels, waking up SIRT1. Then, SIRT1 basically tags in our builder, PGC1alpha, which interacts with specific proteins to physically construct brand new mitochondria. It is just a perfect, seamless cascade. Now for section 3, when the network fails. Let's look at pathology and disease. Zooming back out to the human level for a second, what actually happens when these master switches short circuit? Well, a single glitch in this pathway manifests completely differently depending on the organ it happens in. In the brain, a failure here promotes toxic accumulations like amyloid beta via base 1 in Alzheimer's or alpha-synuclein aggregation in Parkinson's. If it happens in the pancreas or muscles, it disrupts how cells absorb glucose through GLUT4 impairment, which leads to diabetes. And in the kidneys, it accelerates fibrotic signaling, leading to chronic kidney disease. It's It's literally the exact same broken switchboard causing vastly different organ failures.
Section 4. Recharging the system. Let's explore some interventions and therapies.
Okay, here is the really good news. Science and our own lifestyle choices have shown us that we can actually manually flip these master switches back to the on position. There are basically 4 main therapeutic avenues to modulate this pathway: small molecule drugs, natural compounds, lifestyle interventions, and some pretty advanced technologies. Let's break down exactly how we can use these strategies to recharge our cells. So, the crucial takeaway here is that we can approach this medically or just through our daily habits. On the pharmacological side, we've got drugs like metformin. Now, metformin actually mimics a low-energy state to forcefully activate AMPK. We also have NMN supplements to boost NAD+ and activate SIRT1, and compounds like ZLN005 targeting PGC1alpha. But compare that directly to lifestyle interventions. Caloric restriction and rigorous exercise activate the exact same energy axis. When you exercise, you deplete your ATP, which raises your AMP ratio, and naturally flips on that AMPK switch to remodel your mitochondria. No prescription required. And honestly, we cannot ignore the astonishing power of natural plant-based phytochemicals. We're talking about compounds like resveratrol, which you find in the skin of grapes, that naturally stimulate SIRT1, or others, like quercetin and dihydromycetitin, which actively block inflammation and optimize exactly how our bodies process sugar and fat. These natural compounds are basically tricking our cells into entering a protective, highly resilient anti-aging state.
Finally, Section 5, the future of healing. Let's look at the bleeding-edge science.
So what is actually on the horizon for gaining unprecedented precision over our cellular energy grid? Because this is the ultimate frontier in reversing chronic disease. On one hand, we've got CRISPR gene editing being used to target and repair specific AMPK subunits right at the DNA level. Incredible stuff. And on the other hand, scientists are now engineering exosomes, which are these tiny natural communication bubbles to deliver targeted activators directly into damaged tissues. The future of medicine really lies in merging this dual approach. The source material we're looking at concludes with a really powerful statement. It says, the AMPK/SIRT1/PGC1alpha pathway represents a cornerstone target at the intersection of metabolism, aging, and disease. By orchestrating this cross-scale regulatory network, targeted activation of this pathway offers a true paradigm shift. We're talking about moving from just managing people's symptoms to actually modifying and reversing the disease process itself. Which leaves us with one final, very personal question. We've seen how just the flick of a molecular switch can completely change the fate of a cell, literally deciding between vitality and disease. And the science makes it crystal clear that our daily choices, what we eat, how we move, directly interface with this master control board. So the question is, how will you optimize your cellular energy today? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Until next time, keep learning and keep those cellular switches turned on.